Hey guys, welcome back to the Film Grinders podcast. I'm your host Nicholas Hauka here with David Hollinshead. Dave, Happy New Year, man.
Happy New
Do we
Year.
have any New Year's resolutions?
Yep, watch more football, which is running out real
That's
quick.
a that's an absolutely electric resolution, Dave. Good for you. Um, yeah, absolutely great. Happy to be back, guys. Sorry we missed the last week. Mixture of scheduling issues and I was sick, so you can put that one on me. Um, Speaking of resolutions, Dave, there are some NFL franchises that made some resolutions and a nice clean slate in-house for their coaching staff. So we'll get started with weekly headlines. We're going to talk about coaching firings. Dave, before we kind of get started and go down the list, other than the ones that have already occurred, such as Brian Daboll, etc., was there any that surprised you, or is there a non-firing that has not occurred yet that surprises you?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of these guys are, and we'll get into the nitty gritty of it all. I thought John Harbaugh kind of earned more of a leash than I think he was given. Otherwise, I think everything was pretty chalk. The only one that non-firing that blew my mind was Mike McDaniel in Miami. I thought for sure he was gone. I've made that no secret that I thought that he should have been gone halfway through this year. And the fact that only the GM is the casualty of the past few years of mediocrity is kind of a shock to me.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I'll say the Dolphins did play hard down the stretch despite not having anything to play for probably 5 or 6 weeks. So I think you can give him that. I mean, from the things that you see from an outside perspective, I don't know if he's a great head coach. I know he's an amazing coach and play caller, but maybe not the top position. So that one did surprise me a little bit. The other one that hasn't happened yet that a lot of people thought would happen was Todd Bowles. I'm happy he didn't get fired because I don't think that roster is very good anymore. I think they kind of went downhill very fast, and their defense needs a lot of work, and that's his specialty. So a lot of onus gets put on him to do a good job and get that unit up. But I'm happy that he did not get fired. But we'll get into it. Obviously, Brian Callahan and Brian Daboll, these happened before, so there's two vacancies there. But we'll start with the most recent one that you mentioned, Dave. John Harbaugh, 18 years as the Baltimore Ravens coach. He is out the door. I'm going to push back a little bit from what you said. I feel like he has had a big leash. He's been there for 18 years. He reminds me a lot. I saw an article on The Athletic earlier kind of comparing him to Mike McCarthy. And I think that's kind of a fair comparison. I think he's a little bit further up than McCarthy. I think he's a better head coach for sure. I don't think very highly of Mike McCarthy, and I think fairly highly of Harbaugh. But a guy that's been on a team for a long time, he's won one Super Bowl, but there's been lots of opportunities where they should be better than they are, and they lose early in the playoffs. And some people put that on Lamar and the play calling. Some people put that on the defense, etc. But I think ultimately, eventually, it's got to come back from the guy at the top. I think this team and franchise just needs a new change of scenery. He is almost Tomlin-like in the floor is at a decent level that you're not going to be totally terrible unless you have a total outlier where your quarterback's hurt all year, blah, blah, blah. But I don't think the ceiling has ever raised since that Super Bowl win. And I think Ravens fans were absolutely sick of him if you look at Ravens social media, etc. So I think this was the right choice. But here's the thing. He's going to get hired instantly.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be on the unemployment market for very long. Like, I agree with everything you said, and this is probably one of the big what ifs that could have been a dynasty. But I think of head coach in the same way I think of quarterback, in that there's such a drop off between having like a guy, like a good guy there, and having the guy, and being in absolute mediocre limbo and just recycling through coaches and QBs. So I think when you have a guy who you trust and can keep you in the playoffs and keep you a contender for 18 years, basically. Ups and downs, ups and downs. But for the most part, always a contender. I think you stick with it. Maybe I'm just loyal to a fault. Maybe that's just who I am.
That is true. One franchise not loyal to a fault, only given this man about I think 3 seasons as head coach, Jonathan Gannon, given the axe by the Arizona Cardinals. Dave, this was a guy that at the start of his tenure, we referred to his teams as the best coached, worst teams in the NFL. Looked like both sides of the ball always had a good plan and utilized their talent, but obviously not able to show success in their record. Again, if you look at their team, there's not a huge amount of talent there. Do you put this more on the front office, or do you think Gannon didn't do enough?
Considering Arizona has made the playoffs once in 10 seasons, it's tough to put it all on Gannon. And you got to start looking at the big picture wise and see the forest through the trees, right? And like you said, we always thought his teams were well coached, bad teams. And we saw that a lot of the time. I thought the offense always had some sort of electric, exciting game plan. I thought the defense at least played hard despite their lack of horses. And I mean, if we kind of look at but I thought Gannon was kind of maybe you'll disagree with this. I thought Gannon was kind of a up and comer, not quite maybe a flyer, but like it was his turn to be, in the head coaching search. And then I look at the interview requests for Arizona that are coming up, and they're looking at guys like Vance Joseph, Robert Saleh, Thomas Brown, Raheem Morris, Matt Nagy. I think they're going back to the well of mediocre head coaches that are they've been there before and are looking for that second chance, which worries me.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And actually, Dave, for breaking the narrative today, we're going to talk a little bit about that. I know we didn't talk about that pre-show, but I just
no, this is a wrench.
We are going to talk about that. Little tease there, but yeah, I think I would probably take Saleh out of that. I feel like he had absolutely terrible talent, and they played hard for them, and we saw what happened the second they let him go last year in New York. So maybe not have him there, but the other guys you mentioned, yeah, like okay, probably not pushing you through the top and making your ceiling a lot better than it already is. Now, the next person on our list used to raise the ceiling of his team quite a bit, but it looks like the game has passed him by, and this might be his last stop as a head coach. Pete Carroll, gone from the Raiders. We talk about banging your head up against the wall and being insane. Pete Carroll, obviously, you can't take away the success he had. Number one at USC, number two in the 2010s with the Seahawks, really getting the most out of his players, letting them be themselves, playing, kind of recreating defense for a couple years. And I think as the defensive mind, you can argue that actually pushed defensive football back about 5 years. But regardless, very sound scheme at the time that worked quite well because of the players he had. And he did elevate a bunch of Seahawks teams, should have been back-to-back champions, actually. But again, he's in his 70s. He hasn't really changed what he does. If you look at their defense, it has his fingerprints all over it. It's the Seattle press bail 3 stuff. You see it all game. They just haven't changed a lot, and sometimes the game passes us by. We literally saw the greatest coach in pro football history. The same thing happened to him in New England and at North Carolina now. So eventually time will pass you by. Nothing is forever. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we've dove into I dove into the Raiders offense a little bit. I can't remember if you did the Raiders defense too much, but like you're right. I think Chip Kelly was another one of those used to be we talked about this. He used to be like a big influence on modern offense, and his fingerprints are all over today's offense. But when you're the starting point, you're the jumping off point of that, and that's where you stay and you don't evolve with it. The schemes get a little long in the tooth, and it's a little old of a plane to be flying in World War II, So I think I didn't like the hirings at the time, and I think it's interesting where they'll go now. I think a guy like Clint Kubiak, I know we're getting to break the narrative, but I think a good young offensive guy to come in. Tom Brady's going to make sure that they bring in someone a little more exciting too. So we'll see what happens in Oakland with the first overall pick too. So I mean, good for them. They can go and get who they want.
You said Oakland again, Dave. I agreed with everything other than that.
They shouldn't be in Vegas. I'm going to stay San Diego Chargers till the day I die. I don't give a toot.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I agree with you. One team that should never be moved, and despite how their fans talk to us so graciously at times, Cleveland Browns have fired Kevin Stefanski.
Who would have thought?
This is this is a weird one because this is a guy that's won Coach of the Year.
So did Brian Daboll.
Yeah, it's what have you NFL is what have you done for me lately league, as all pro sports is. It can be pretty ruthless. 2 bad back-to-back years, and we can talk all about the Deshaun Watson decision, Baker Mayfield, etc., but Stefanski is out. How do we feel about this one, Dave?
I think it's about time. I think he has been done. Cleveland has not shown a lot. I think personnel moves have been terrible. We have not made that, a secret. I think we said this at the beginning of the year that he was probably one of the hottest hot seats besides Brian Daboll. But basically, yeah, he won 2 Coach of the Years, but finishing 45 and 50 and 56 in that amount of time. The fact he got that long of a leash, impressive.
Yeah, and I mean, like, if you look at the offensive talent on that team, not a lot going on. A little bit better than teams at the bottom of the league, but um, you had a chance to build, and their GM, Andrew Barry, was also let go, rightfully so, in our opinion. He This is the team that had a chance for generational defense. They just needed an average offense to be able to stay on the field and control the ball, and this could have been a very effective team, and they could not do that. There's always the Deshaun Watson situation. There's drafting 2 quarterbacks in the same draft, and you're not able to develop both of them, obviously. And the one you took last, who you should have took in the spot of Dylan Gabriel, looks to have the potential to be an okay starter in the league. So lots of weird stuff there, but that seems to be their downfall. And now Stefanski says goodbye. And Dave, speaking of weird quarterback decisions, Raheem Morris is also gone, and that was not his fault. That was management's fault. But the decision to sign Kirk Cousins and then 6 weeks later drafting Michael Penix. To me, Dave, Raheem Morris, his downfall is not being able to find an innovative offensive mind to be his right-hand man. I think as a head coach, I think Morris is fine. I think he's above average. I think he does a solid job, and he gets his teams to play hard for him. He's a really good defensive coach. Some of the stuff he does on defense is really cool and effective. And he actually, last year, I was really impressed with what that defensive unit was able to do with no pass rushers. This year, they got better with James Pierce and Walker on the opposite side from Georgia. But yeah, like, their offense was too static. I know we didn't do an episode on it, what's wrong with, but it's too static, and Cousins was able to kind of manage games with it, but it was not explosive despite having some pretty unbelievable weapons. You have arguably the best running back in all of football, and down the stretch you saw how good he was, and you still weren't able to build around that. You have some good receivers there too, but because of the lack of scheme, you weren't able to elevate your team. And despite having his team play hard down the stretch again and almost finishing at 500, just a couple of games away from it, he loses his job because of it. And that's you're an offensive guy, Dave, and I know if I was ever a head coach in a pro league, which will never happen, but if I was, I would really, really grab on to a next up-and-coming offensive talent, and I would make sure they were my right-hand man.
Well, I think he tried to do that this year, bringing in Zach Robinson. We, as Patriots fans, were hoping he would come back into the fold. You look at Zach Robinson, the coaches he's coached under, like Josh McDaniels, Sean McVay. these are two of the better offensive minds in the game. So you would think that he would soak that all up, bring the young, fresh, I want to prove it kind of attitude to Atlanta. And I thought that was the right hire for them in the offseason when they brought him in. I expected great things out of him. And then we just didn't see it transpire, unfortunately. And Raheem Morris got to pay the price for it, unfortunately. Because I agree with you. I thought Atlanta played fine. I think he's a good coach. But maybe he just unfortunately falls into the Steve Spagnuolo life of just being an elite DC and never really making it as a head coach.
Yeah, he'll be a guy that gets a job right away, whether that be as a DC or whatever. Like, he's not going to be out of a job long, and he has a lot of friends around the league, so
yeah,
he'll be fine. Unfortunate, but it kind of is what it is. And it's an interesting point you bring up, Dave. I've always thought that it takes the right type of person to, when they kind of break off of their coaching tree, to become successful. Like, they have to have their own ideas. And I do think sometimes, and I'm not saying this is the case with Robinson, but I do think sometimes you kind of like, you're so privileged in the fact that you get to work around these guys and you don't think for yourself a lot because you're so ingrained in what they're doing and you're almost like a robot. And again, I'm not saying that's the case. I'm not in the room. I have literally no idea. But I think you see that sometimes. You saw that with a couple of Belichick disciples, right? With Joe Judge. Who else, Dave? Sorry.
Eric Mangini.
Yeah, Mancini, exactly, right.
Like, there's an infinite list.
Yeah, right. Matt
Josh
Patricia.
McDaniels.
I mean, I don't know if
as a head coach
with that. Yeah, sure, but you kind of like see these guys that are so ingrained in what they do at a certain place, and they're not able to adapt. So I wonder if that's happening to him. And again, it's his first year as an OC. Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, that's your first year. You got to learn. Maybe it's just not there yet, and it will get there. But at the moment, it's not there. So, but speaking of coordinators, the one coordinator fire we're going to talk about, because we've kind of been hammering on this all year. Matt Eberflus gone from the Cowboys, rightfully so. And Dave, in his press conference, he said he wouldn't do anything differently.
Yeah, I think you have a rant about this more than I do, so I'll let you just take over here.
Well, it's like, I hate it. Like, him and Gus Bradley to me are so similar in the fact that what they do is sound, for the most part. There's some issues with some of the stuff they do, but it's sound basic defense. But you haven't adapted since like 2016. Football is constantly adapting in what you need to do and how you need to defend stuff. There is kind of a new... The way teams are defending for the most part is you play too high coverage, you avoid one-on-ones for the most part, you kind of eat it in the run game, and when you really need to, then you rotate down to get more guys in the box. But like, he's a one high guy all the time. There's issues against tight end sets with 1 and 2 tight end sets with play action under center, because you're always in one high and your backers are in conflict and they don't play stuff well. And it's just stuff that's so fixable that you easily could learn. And the fact that the guy is a head coach, totally fails in Chicago, makes some terrible decisions, shows up as a DC again, and then doesn't adapt what he does is just incredibly insane to me. You are so lucky to be in this position, and you obviously... He didn't just become an NFL coach by mistake. He knows what he's doing for the most part, but the stubbornness is so frustrating. So frustrating. Like, you need to adapt what you do. Dan Quinn adapted what he did. He was a Seattle guy. Same with Robert Saleh. They came up in the Seattle Seahawks system when it was super, super popular in the mid-2010s. And it stopped working for them, and they totally adapted and changed what they did. They kept a couple things from that, and as the game moved forward, they caught up to it. I don't understand why certain coaches refuse to do this. You always have to learn. Yes, you have your belief system, but adapt and change within it. It's just insane to me that he doesn't see that he needs to do that.
You okay, buddy?
Yeah, it's just stupid.
The vein in your forehead's telling me otherwise. No, I completely I completely get it. And to just draw parallels to two things close to me, we just talked about Chip Kelly. He's kind of will die on his hill instead of adapting to it. And we look at Josh McDaniels, who people were criticizing him when he was in Vegas that his offense was getting a little outdated. What did he do on his year off? He spent it touring colleges, going to Buffalo, going to other schools, programs, and just absorbing everything. What did Mike Vrabel do when he had a year off of being a head coach? He went to Cleveland, which, I roll, but he didn't spend all the time on defense. He knows how to run a defense. He spent the entire time working with the offense so he could know more about that and improve his game and understand that part. So if you're not going to take your time, learn, develop, and continue to develop, yeah, the game's going to pass you by, unfortunately.
And yeah, looks like it has if he doesn't start to figure that out. Just kind of a mind numbing press conference after a firing. Speaking of mind numbing, we're going to go to primetime games now, and we will talk about the Ravens Steeler games after we go over the first primetime game. Only two this week, Dave. A rarity in December, January, but Hawks Niners. Okay game, kind of boring for the most part, to be honest, but I think you're starting to see this Niners team, Dave, just totally wear down there. There's been so many injuries on their defense and offense, and I think you kind of saw that come to a head here as the Seahawks pull away and kind of stay in control most of the game here and come out with the number one seed.
I think this game played out exactly how Seattle wanted to play it. I don't think Seattle broke out, went super deep into their game plan to win this game. I think they wanted to keep it as vanilla as possible, keep as much as they can off of the film. I know it's like week 17, so we pretty much have all the film we need, but you'll see teams that are in week 17 kind of put some stuff away and try to play more basic if they can help it. So the fact that the Niners couldn't move the ball, the game was never really at risk, and the defense was kind of able to hold it down. They could just pound the ball with Charbonnet and Walker. I think that played out exactly the way Seahawks wanted to.
Yeah. Now they have the number one seed in the NFC, and they get a bye, looking like a very dangerous team if Sam Darnold can just kind of manage the game and not turn the ball over. And he seems to only be doing that against the Rams. And the last time they played, they actually managed to win despite that with that crazy turnaround. Big thanks to Rashid Shaheed for that one, actually. It's really too bad he couldn't figure it out earlier for my fantasy team, but it's okay. I'll forgive him. The last primetime game of the week, Ravens Steelers. This was a good game. If you're a Ravens fan, the ending there was just, oh my goodness. We all obviously talked about Harbaugh being fired, but kind of a full circle moment here. Kind of perfectly sums up the Lamar and Harbaugh duo tenure here. A game that you should win. You have every opportunity to win, and one little thing kind of stops you and prevents you from moving forward here. The era is over now, and just a gut-wrenching loss.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're right. It's the perfect ending because that's pretty much what we've seen from them in the past, however long. And of course, it figures that the Steelers. It's also a good metaphor for the Steelers under Tomlin, just doing enough to make it in, right? And I think that field goal was the kick that decided two jobs. Tomlin gets to stay. Harbaugh's out.
Yeah, I saw mic'd up of them pregame being like, man, we've had a lot of these games, hey, and they're talking before. And it's kind of, if you think about it, Dave, they got hired so long ago. I remember when they played in the AFC Championship game, and I was in elementary school still. It's crazy to have your job for that long in the NFL. So,
yeah,
big kudos to them. Obviously, Harbaugh is gone, and the Steelers somehow make the playoffs despite having just an absolutely terrible offense with little to no talent on it, really, if you look at it. Good defense, obviously, and just playing Steelers football like we have seen forever with them. Um, what was I going to say? I feel bad for Lamar. I feel like he did literally everything he could for his team to win that game. You could tell he was hobbled and playing through injury and really didn't look like himself. But like the one touchdown throw to Zay Flowers where he breaks two tackles from Alex Highsmith, who's a very good rusher off of the edge, and makes an unbelievable throw to Flowers, and then that throw to Likely was pretty unreal too. Um, to put his team in position to win the game just kind of sums up what things have been like for Lamar. And he gets a lot of flack for not being able to push this team over the top, but I really don't think it's ever been his fault. And I think this is another indication of that. But Steelers move on to the playoffs, Dave, and we are going to do our playoff bracket now. We'll start, Dave, here in the AFC. What we will do here is we both need to make arguments for who we think is going to win. And this will be our official Film Grinders playoff bracket. So we will start here, Dave, with your New England Patriots against the Chargers and a very beat up offensive line and Justin Herbert. Dave, all bias aside, who do you have in this one? Are you committing to them?
Absolutely. I've committed 30 years of my life to this team. I'm not going to stop now. No, I'm going Patriots. I think they're just flying too high. I think the offense has just looked way too good, electric, dynamic. McDaniels, Drake May. They just look too good. Defense is very much in the kind of doesn't look the same, but it's in the Belichick mold of bend, don't break, and they're doing just enough to not break and not lose the game for them. We are also quite banged up on defense. Robert Spillane, Harold Landry are both kind of were missed time last week, and we're hoping that they'll come back. Chason's kind of banged up as well. But I think if we can get those guys back, hopefully, that'll be enough. The Chargers offense doesn't scare me at all. The Chargers defense brings me some trepidation, but I believe in my guys. I think Patriots take this one.
I will agree with you. I think that the Chargers' offensive line is so beat up that the defensive line of the Patriots is absolutely going to get after Herbert and make his life misery, especially the interior of this defensive line. I think this will be a game where it's really close for about 3 quarters and then New England pulls away late. I'm going to say it's about like a 10 to 12 point victory for New England, where it feels like down the stretch they're fully in control, but the Chargers are going to play their ass off like they always do, won't be able to pull it off, and New England is going to move forward to the next round. So no arguments there, Dave. Here's a weird one.
And Nick,
and I say this as a Jags fan. Huh?
And Nick, let's put our bias aside here.
I'm absolutely going to. This is a game where I think it can go one of two ways. If the Jaguars can make Josh Allen just look good, I think they win this game. But I also see a path where Josh Allen plays absolute hero ball and wills this team to victory. I think a big thing for Jacksonville is I think they will be able to make the Bills one-dimensional. They have one of the best rushing defenses in the league. I believe yards, they are number one, but I think there's not that many attempts on them. Really like Campanelli's defense, and I think they'll have a good plan for Josh Allen. And I don't really like this Bills defense. They're holding on by McDermott doing everything he possibly can to make them somewhat viable. I really think the Jaguars receiving core is going to exploit their secondary, and the Jaguars offensive line has been playing really, really good against some good teams with good pass rushers, minus last week against the Titans, where it's the Titans, but big win against Denver, who had a great defense, and their offensive line was able to hold for the most part other than the first 2 drives. So I can see a path for both teams here. I think the Jaguars are the overall much better team, and Trevor does have a little bit of playoff experience. And I do think with Trayvon Walker, Josh Hines, Allen, they're going to have just enough on defense to slow down Allen. and they'll be able to stop the run. So I am going to pick the Jaguars in this one.
Yeah, I'm really torn. I'm back and forth on this one, but I think what it comes down to, everything you just said, we're going to get into what's right with segment later where I break down the Jaguars offense. I really like what they're doing on offense, and I really like the way Trevor Lawrence is playing. And sometimes when you just, like in hockey, you get a hot goalie going in the playoffs, and that's exactly what you want. In the NFL, you want a hot quarterback going into the playoffs, and it's tough to make an argument that there's a QB hotter than Trevor Lawrence right now. So I'm going to go with Jacksonville as well. And we are not biased on this podcast at all.
No, absolutely not. This matchup right here, I think this is a pretty obvious one. Steelers have made the playoffs, got to 10-7.
That's it.
I think it's over. It's over for them. Like, they don't have anything on offense really. Jalen Warren is fine, and Rodgers is still pretty solid, but they don't have a receiving core. They have DK Metcalf, and that's pretty much it. The rest of their guys are okay. There's no real great or diverse playmakers there. I think this is Houston is going to overwhelm them on defense. Rodgers is going to have no time to throw the ball. The Texans are going to be all over them, and if their offense is average against the Steelers unit, I think they win. And this could be, honestly, this could be a blowout. I think this could be a 14 plus point win for Houston.
Maybe you're right. I think I have the exact opposite kind of feeling. I think this game will end up being a lot closer than we think it's going to be. I think this is actually going to be a very boring game. But I think you're right that D'Amico Ryan's defense is just going to make Rodgers so uncomfortable. And for a guy who's very adverse to getting hit these days, or at least that's kind of how we're seeing it, I think Houston takes it. I think it's like a high teens to a low teens or to 10 points game. So I think Houston takes it. In a boring.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was gonna be like 24-10, but Houston's just in control the whole game.
Yeah, I could see a game like that too.
That's kind of my feeling. Yeah. Easy win for Houston. All right, divisional round then. Texans Broncos. This is actually an interesting matchup. Man.
I think there's no question. I think Denver takes it. They look dominant. I don't want to say dominant. That's not the right word I want to look for. They're a team that until someone shows me that they have a playbook on how to beat them, I'm going to pick Denver. Bo Nix is doing enough and is kind of being carried by a supporting cast, but when the rest of your cast is A's and you're playing at a C+, that's fine. I don't think Houston has the horses quite yet to compete with that defense. I think Denver takes this pretty easily, if I'm being honest.
I think this would be a really tight game. I think with Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson Jr. on the edge, as good as the tackles are on the Broncos, those two are more than mobile enough to keep Nix in the pocket and win one-on-one. I think this game would come down to CJ Stroud. If he can elevate the Texans offense, I actually think they could win. Now the question is, can he do that with how good this Broncos defense is and how poor their offensive line is? So I think it would come down to Stroud having to play hero ball, but I think the safe choice here is Denver. I will agree with you.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be closer than most people think. All right. Here we go. Our teams going head to head.
You're about to see a match.
I'm going to be honest with you. I think if this happens, I think Jacksonville would win. Mm-hmm. I think they have more talent on their defense than New England for the most part, other than secondary. But Jerry and Jones is playing at a very high level right now. I think the Patriots, I think they lack a lot of playoff experience, and I feel like this would be the game against the Jacksonville team that's super hot, where things might come back down, crashing back to earth. If Trevor stays this hot as good as the Patriots have been defensively, I feel like this would be a game where I just feel like Jacksonville would win this one. I just think they have all the right tools on defense to defend Drake May and the Patriots offense. None of the receivers in your guys' secondary, I think, scare me at all for what Jacksonville has in their secondary. And as far as defensively against Drake May, I think Campanelli would have a really good plan to be able to kind of hold May in check. And I like their matchups there too. So I would actually pick Jacksonville in this one. I don't think the Patriots are ready quite yet.
Yeah, well, fuck you. I think the Patriots. No, I think that I think the gas is running out for the Patriots. I think they're going to get. They're already kind of beat up, especially on defense and on the offensive line. I think the way the Chargers play is just going to beat them up even more, and not getting that first round bye is going to kind of bite us in the ass a little bit. I think it's going to be a really tight game. I think it's going to be very entertaining,
Yeah.
but I think we're just going to see Drake May try to like drag this team on all fours as they're in an injury cart forward. But I think Jacksonville, it just looks a little more rested, a little more hot. I think you're right. I think Jacksonville probably takes this one.
Yeah, it kind of feels like New England is plateauing at this point, and Jacksonville is elevating currently and playing at the top of their game. So, um, again, I'm a very pessimistic Jaguars fan, and if my mouse would actually work, here we go. But I think the Jags make it to the AFC title game against the Broncos. And here's an interesting one, right? The Jaguars obviously beat Denver on the road earlier this year. Um, but as Indiana Hoosiers head coach Kirk Cignetti said about Oregon, as they are about to play in the college football playoffs, really hard to beat a good team twice in the same year. We'll let you go first here, Dave. What do you think about this if this happens?
I think what this game will come down to is coaching and playoff experience. And as much as we have said and given the flowers to Liam Cohen and the great job he's done there, I think between the experience of Sean Payton, Vance Joseph, and Joe Lombardi, I think they're just going to have their guys ready to go. I think New England's going to beat up Jacksonville a little bit. I think Buffalo could beat up Jacksonville a little bit. That first round bye is really going to be a big thing for Denver. I think just with experience, coaching, and when you go down the kind of list and you're like, okay, who are we giving the edge to? I think Denver just ends up too much on the intangibles of being on the winning side, and I'm going to go Denver.
Yeah, I think this is where the clock would strike midnight for the Jaguar Cinderella story. Um,
Good one.
yeah, like I agree with everything you said. I think if they're healthy and don't get beat up too much, I actually think they win this game. But I don't know how plausible that is with two really tough games against really tough competition that play really hard. So yeah, like I think Denver makes it here to the Super Bowl. All right, so Denver is our team out of the AFC. On to the NFC, and Dave, we were kind of talking about this before. I feel like there's not really a chalk pick here. Like you could say, yeah, the Rams are going to beat the Panthers, but the Panthers handily beat the Rams earlier this season. So I don't know if there's a chalk pick here. We'll start at the top half of the bracket here. Bears, Packers. These teams have played twice. Both games have been awesome. Kind of come down to the wire, especially the last game between these two with the onside kick recovery. Game is in Chicago. Nothing better than a Bears Packer playoff matchup. I'll go first here. I think Chicago wins this game. I think they have the makeup of a good playoff team. I think Caleb is starting to come into his own. He's not quite there yet, but he's starting to. If he doesn't mess this up, I think Chicago wins. They can pound the ball at will. They're in front of their home crowd and they play good defense. Jordan Love is returning, but continues to be coming off of injury after injury. And This Packers team doesn't seem to be elevating themselves. They've kind of plateaued a little bit. Um, I'm going to pick the Bears here. I think they win.
Yeah, I think I was completely against you until you reminded me that Jordan Love has kind of been in and out of the lineup and has been dealing with injuries this whole time. I think that very similar things to what we said earlier. It's tough to beat good teams repeatedly in the same year. And I think Green Bay just has kind of more experience in this. And if we go down the intangibles list again, or the list again, I think I give the nod to Green Bay a little bit more. I think Caleb's look great. I love what Ben Johnson's done. Well, look great. We'll put in quotes, but you know what I'm saying. He's looked decent. Unfortunately, I think I would like to say I think he chokes, but you bring up a really good point about Jordan Love. I think he limps and carries this team to a win. I could be talked into Chicago winning, but like I'm not pounding the table for it. I do think Green Bay takes it though.
Okay.
But I can go Chicago.
All right. Well, we got to come to a conclusion here, Dave.
Talk me into it.
Well, I think for one, Chicago has shown in critical games they can pound the ball. It's going to be an outdoor game in Chicago that better suits Chicago's game than Green Bay. Green Bay can run the ball a little bit, but they're not. They're more of a finesse zone team compared to Ben Johnson's scheme, where you're trying to pound the ball down a team's throat. I don't think Green Bay's defense has looked the same since Micah Parsons got hurt. They've been okay, not great, and I think it depends what version of Jordan Love you get, right? There's moments where Jordan Love looks like one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and then the next play he throws a crossbody pick and ends your season, right? So I think everything is going to be put on Jordan Love in this one, but I think Chicago is going to have the luxury of not having to do that with Caleb Williams.
Yeah, you talked me into it. Let's go Chicago.
Okay. Chicago moves on. Here's a really interesting one. Niners, Eagles. Now, if they were fully healthy just because of how dysfunctional and lost Philly has looked this year for the most part, I'd probably pick the Niners. But as we kind of mentioned on the primetime game, this Niners team is worn down. They're very injured. They don't look like they're firing on all cylinders because of that. They just don't, and as well coached as they are, and Shanahan always puts them in an insane position to win. Like, this is a team, Dave, that we were very wrong about. We thought they'd be an 8-win team this season.
Yeah.
They have fully exceeded expectations. I really think Kyle Shanahan needs to be in Coach of the Year conversation, all things considered. But I just think there's been too much that has happened to this team where, as dysfunctional as Nick Sirianni's Eagles have been, they have so much talent and they're not really beat up or injured right now. I can't really see a path where San Fran wins this game. I just can't.
No, that's exactly how I feel. I feel like we're seeing two teams kind of limp their way into the playoffs at this point. I think both kind of running on fumes. If they're not running on fumes, their train is very much trying to keep themselves on the tracks. And when it comes to two bad, we're still in the playoff picture here. When it comes to two bad teams, I'll typically pick the home team just for the advantage. But when that home team just very obviously has like more talent to will their way into a victory, I'm going to pick them nearly every time. So I'd agree. I think Philly takes this one. It's going to be a boring game, I think. It's going to be very low scoring.
Yeah.
But I think Philly does enough.
All right. Rams, Panthers. You were very adamant about this one off screen, Dave. Carolina is at home. I think they have the tools to pound the ball with Rico Dowdle and company. Bryce Young has looked pretty good, actually, especially in the fourth quarter. Man, this guy is actually pretty unreal in the fourth quarter. He's really found his game. I don't think they have the talent to pull this one off. I could see a path where this happens. They've already done it this year, right? But I think because this has already happened, I think the Rams are even more locked in than they normally would be, and that's at a very high level with Sean McVay, right? So I don't think this happens twice in the same season. I think the Rams pull this off, but I think it is a lot tighter than people are going to think. I think this is a one-score game.
Yeah, I think the Rams take this one. I think you have a guy who's playing at an MVP caliber level with Stafford. His O-line's been playing lights out. He's got a couple of the best receivers. Puka Nakua's obviously elevated himself to top 5 conversation, if not top 3. I think they're going to be locked in. I can see a path, like you said, for this being a much tighter game. But if I'm going to be completely honest with you, I think that the Rams run away with this game just out of sheer willpower, talent, coaching, and just being locked in, knowing what it takes to get to a Super Bowl and win it. I just think the Rams take this one. And the fact that they really want to go to Seattle.
Fair enough. All right. Rams, Seahawks.
Plus, I just like
Seahawks have looked. Huh?
Plus, I just like the storyline. Like, this is the divisional matchup we want to see.
Yeah, fair enough. Rams, Seahawks. These teams split this year in their season series. Seahawks with that crazy come from behind victory, the one of the only good Thursday night games of the year. This is an interesting one. Seattle's going to be rested. Obviously, their defense has been playing at an insanely high level, and their offense has been good this year. I'm really worried about how bad Sam Darnold has looked against this Rams defense this season. I know he turned it around late in that game, but he did get a lot of help from special teams and his defense. I think the Rams upset the Seahawks here. This is kind of like do or die for Matt Stafford for his career. Like, he probably only has a couple years left. He's still playing at a super high level, but he's 40 now. Like, he's old. Is he? No, he's 40. Yeah.
Great question. Keep yapping. I'll bring it up.
Okay. This is one of his last seasons he's going to play. I think this Rams team has a lot more playoff experience than the Seahawks do. I think this is a game where I can see both paths. If Darnold has truly overcome those mistakes against this Rams defense, I think Seattle wins this game in a tight one. But I'm leaning more towards I don't see Darnold getting that much better. And I think if you turn the ball over as much as he did in the games that he's played the Rams, there's no way you can win a playoff game.
Yeah. Stafford's 37, so not quite.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
I was way off.
No, way off. But you're right, and we can only judge guys based off their previous body of work and where they're at right now. And Stafford's still playing an elite level. He knows how to win playoffs, go to Super Bowls, win Super Bowls. Whereas Darnold, this year, we've seen him struggle against the Rams, turn the ball over a bunch. And if we look at the playoff game for Minnesota last year, if he gets pressure, he seems to kind of shrink into himself in these big moments. And despite how great the rest of the Seahawks are playing, I just think that the Rams got it at this point. We look at the coaching. I think Sean McVay is a better coach at this point. And
I think it's closer than you think.
Maybe, but I really like Sean McVay. So I think for all the reasons you said and more, I think LA takes this one as well. But it's going to be a super interesting game to watch.
All right, Rams move on to the NFC Championship.
And our boy Sean can
Bears, celebrate. Eagles. Bears, Eagles in Chicago. Obviously, Philadelphia is the more talented team. Chicago is better coached.
This is a tough one.
I don't know if I trust. This is a tough one because I don't really trust Caleb Williams for a playoff run yet. I think he's going to get there one day. I just don't this is his first playoff run. I don't think.
Yeah. But do you trust the Eagles right now with what you've seen from them?
Well, that's what I was going to say. It's I don't know if I trust Jalen Hurts right now either.
No.
And this very static, boring Eagles offense. I I feel like Philly has too much talent to lose this game. Like Jalen Hurts can go 9 for 22, but three of those passes are an AJ Brown or Devontae Smith huge play that turns into putting them in scoring position or scoring, and they managed to do just a bit more despite it looking super ugly until those big chunk plays. I'm gonna take Philly here. I think they find a way to squeak it out just based on talent alone.
Yeah, I would agree. Not just based on talent alone, but like playoff experience. I don't think the lights are going to be too bright for this team at this point.
Yeah,
Like they're coming off of a Super Bowl win. Jalen Hurts knows. Even Nick Sirianni, who we like to clown on repeatedly, they do know what it takes to get to a Super Bowl. Yeah, I just don't think that Ben Johnson nor Caleb Williams are quite there yet. It's been a great season for them. They deserve all the flowers in the world, but eventually the tank runs out.
yeah.
Clock strikes
It's a young
midnight, I
team.
say.
Yeah, it's a young team. It's kind of their first glimpse of the playoffs, and they'll build on it and learn. And will probably be a contender in the NFC if things continue for a long time because they got a young quarterback, young head coach, and yeah, I like it. Let's go to the Rams. They head to Philly in this bracket. I think the Rams win this one and get revenge from last year with their loss. The Eagles, to me, I don't see them fully catching their stride and being up to what they were last year. Even I just don't see it. I think they kind of eke out those 2 wins. I think they get lucky that the Niners are very, very injured and kind of on the plateau, while just having a little more playoff experience than the Bears and eking one out. And then I think the Rams are firing on all cylinders, and I think they win. I think they'll still be somewhat close. I'd say like a 10-point win, but I think they win this one on the road.
Yeah, every game we've said for the Eagles so far has been like limping their way in, kind of willing their way to win based on talent and experience alone. They're not flying high like the Rams are. I think the Rams are going to be, if the Rams do this playoff run, they're going to be full momentum ahead, head full of steam, catching lightning at the right time, and I think that's just going to be a tough one to stop. I mean, we have talent, we have experience, and we have momentum. I think between the three of them, having all three, Rams take this over the Eagles as well.
A Broncos and Rams Super Bowl. Bo Nix against Matthew Stafford. I don't even really need to think about this one too hard, Dave. I think if Stafford makes the Super Bowl here with this talented and experienced Rams team, the Rams are going to win this one. I don't. If these two teams play each other in this game of this magnitude, this is Bo Nix's first time kind of being in this situation. He didn't. He didn't even. Did Bo? I don't think Bo ever made a playoff game at Oregon. I think they lost the Pac-12 championship game to Washington, which moved them down the rankings, and then he never actually made the playoffs. And then the year prior, they lost to Washington at home. I was at that game, actually, which eliminated them from playoff contention as well.
Mm-hmm.
Believe so. I should definitely know that as an Oregon fan, but I'm blanking right now. So I don't like.
You're right.
Bo hasn't really played on
Looked it
this.
up, like you're right.
Yeah. He hasn't played on this stage yet. Obviously, Sean Payton is an experienced coach who has won a Super Bowl back with New Orleans. I feel like this Denver team kind of lacks playoff experience for the most part. I think the Rams are more experienced, are just as talented, with a good influx of veterans and young talent. And you have the better quarterback and arguably run game here. I'm going to go with the Rams.
Yeah, I would agree. Like we look at back when we were talking about Denver, we were kind of talking about these games are going to be tough to win, and it's going to come down to Denver's defense really kind of carrying this team. And what I kind of just said about the Rams is if they go on this playoff run, they have a full head of steam. They got their lightning. They got their swagger back. Oh. That's an older meme if anyone can get that.
If you're a football fan, you should get
I
that.
got my swag. Oh.
Swear?
But I mean, you look at these games; they're just going to be full of confidence, head full of steam. You got the experience, you got the talent. Like I said, I'm taking the Rams as well. Good for Stafford. Good for Sean McVay.
All right, the Rams, in our opinion, are going to be the Super Bowl champions, the world champions of football, as we like to say, which is, I guess, true because there's no country that plays football at that level.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, you only play it in America. Yeah, well, give me talent.
well, that's not true. There's NFL Europe's a thing.
Sure. You think any of them are beating the Rams?
No.
No.
Shockingly, no. Coming from a Canadian, no. All right, so that was our playoff bracket. Now we're going to switch it up a little bit. Know what's wrong with this week. We're going to do a little what's right with. So still WWW, but changing the second word there to on a positive note. It's a new year. We're going to be a little positive here. So Dave, you did a little bit on the Jacksonville Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence, who has completely turned it around. Dave, what were some of your findings on Trevor Lawrence?
Well, my finding in the past couple of minutes is that Nick doesn't know how to spell the word right.
Yeah, you're right. I spelled it like writing.
Yeah. It's okay, kids. He's pretty. He's a professional writer.
That's embarrassing.
Doesn't know the difference between there, and there.
Hey, I can do that.
Hey. So we'll try to keep this as quick as we can. This episode's already running quite long. But basically, I really like the marriage between the scheme of Liam Cohen's offense, how he's got Trevor Lawrence playing with anticipation. He's following the rules of footwork being your timeline, and he's just making decisions and big boy throws with confidence. He's not second guessing. He's not doing like happy feet, fire feet. I don't know. Where's the ball? Maybe this is a play. He's making decisive choices, and more often than not, these choices are right. And the play design has answers built into it, and we can get that going right away here. Let's not waste any more time, and we can talk about
So, Dave, you're saying that they are playing very good within their system there in Jacksonville.
Yes. Why? All right, so first one, we're looking at the Indianapolis Colts game. I thought this was a good one because they were kind of playing still for the division. It's a very poor weather game in week 14, I believe. And in the poor weather game, we're still going to see Trevor Lawrence just slinging it. So what we're going to have here is a power play action. The left guard's going to pull to the right. T-Law is going to play action with his running back. And we're just going to see him throw with anticipation. And so we got two things going here, right? We got good scheme where we're going to have the play action and the right linebacker there, just right at the hash marks. He's going to end up freezing, get put in conflict because he has to come play the run. And that's going to let the Jacoby Myers, I believe, the bottom receiver on the 25-yard line, he's going to run a 7-yard dig route. And what we're going to see is if we play it, Lawrence throwing with anticipation. So he's going to do the play action. He's going to look over to the dig. The window is not quite going to be there, but he's going to hit his back foot, pause for a second, and before the guy's even open, he's going to throw to that second window of opportunity past the linebacker and make the completion. This is just exactly what you want to see out of a good NFL quarterback. And scheme, linebackers in conflict. The first window's not open, but you're still going to throw it right off as soon as your back foot lands to that second window of opportunity with anticipation. And it's just a bread and butter play. You love to see it.
Something that he was not doing consistently until December.
Bingo. So now we're going to have a cover zero look. We're going to have a lot of pressure here. And instead of Lawrence panicking, or making a poor choice, scrambling to get out of there. He's going to stay in the pocket. Like you can already see the safety blitzing down, full head of steam. We're going to see Jakobi Meyers again at the bottom of the screen, run a quick little dig, middle of the field's open. As soon as Lawrence hits that back foot, he's ready to cock and throw, and it's a beautifully thrown ball in these elements. But unfortunately, Meyers, an uncharacteristic drop for him. But damn, just like what a throw with anticipation, not bothered by the rush. He has the answer for middle of the field open, cover zero type situation. And I just think this is a beautifully thrown ball and what you want to see out of. We talked a little bit in our last episode about the mental makeup of QBs nowadays. And I think if this is what we're talking about with younger QBs, he's running to get out of there, or he's throwing an ill-advised throw over the top with a post from the slot receiver there. But he just looks unbothered by the pressure, uses his footwork as a timeline, keeps everything within his frame, and I just love the anticipation to throw that ball. What do you think?
Yeah, like Myers isn't even out of his break yet.
And he's already ready to throwing. Yeah, just great anticipation. And it's right in the breadbasket. Maybe he reaches a little bit for it, but in the NFL, that's got to be a catch. I'm sorry, Jakobi. I love you to death, but...
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's been so good for them. Rare drop, yeah. And it was pouring rain in that game.
And to throw that ball with such precision in that weather, just like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. I'm trying to remember which clip this was. Do you remember the name of it?
Hold on.
Decisive dots, baby. Oh my God. Okay, I love this throw. So we're in 3rd and a mile. I kind of cut it off, unfortunately, here. But we're in 3rd and a mile. We're going to see a deep out from the receiver at the top. He's going to run a deep out. Corner's going to bite down. He's going to do a little double move and get open deep downfield. But again, Lawrence hits his back foot, shuffles up a little bit, and in this weather to throw a dot like that in a clear weather game, I think this is a touchdown. But look at this. Drops back, shuffles up to give himself a little space in the pocket, and just delivers a decisive dot. There's just no second guessing. He knows where he's going with this ball. Honestly, as a QB, I'm probably not making that throw just based on the DB's leverage. But this is why I'm not in the NFL, right? But that's just great footwork to get him a little extra comfort in the pocket. Delivers a dot, really. And that's just a great completion for a first down, 3rd and a mile. But going back to that clip, sorry, there's one more thing I want to get your opinion on. I want you to look at the safeties, Nick, and tell me what you think about this.
They're trying to disguise. What are they in here? Oh, they're in like a robber look.
Right.
So they're.
But you can't convince me this isn't.
They're just playing man free with the safety being the robber, and then this guy rotating to the middle.
But why? Why are you switching them?
Because well, think about it, Dave. If you're a quarterback and you see that, you're like, what the fuck are they in?
Right. They're playing 3D chess here.
Yeah, because Anarumo is the DC for the Colts, right?
Yeah. I think this is just dumb. Like, I already see pre-snap, middle of the field close, and you're just randomly switching the safeties because...
Yeah, I mean, I don't have an issue with it. It's a little strange, but I've seen worse.
Okay. I think it's just dumb and weird, and not how I would coach defense, but again, I'm not a great defensive mind like you, and I think it just does nothing for me offensively. I just look at, okay, middle of the field's closed. Post-snap, okay, middle of the field's still closed. Anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't do it personally, but I don't think it's, like, ridiculous.
It's egregious and stupid, and that guy should be fired. Okay, so what we got here is a play that everyone runs, but the Jacksonville runs this in a way that I love. So what we're going to have is the top receiver at the 30-yard line. He is going to have what we call a more route. So he's going to run a fade, but by more, we mean must outside release. So he's going to be running a fade here. Receiver number 2, the slot, he's going to run about a first down out. And on the backside here, we're going to have a drive concept. So what that means is that one receiver is going to run a deep in, probably at 10-ish or so yards. And then the other receiver is going to run a very shallow drag type route. And you kind of have a levels concept in the middle of the field. Now, what I also love about this is we have the running back who's going to go into the middle of the field and release to the left where the 2 receivers breaking in are going. So it just really builds that rhythm, read, rush kind of structure, which I love to see. So you have 2 basic rhythm concepts. So you take your 3-step drop and you just basically look at the numbers game, look what you like. What we're going to see is Lawrence look at the top to the out and the fade. And he's just, number 1, great pass protection, A. But B, he's going to rhythm the fade route. He sees that, he's in kind of tight coverage, and he just trusts his receiver, and he just delivers a dot downfield. Like, yes, it's going to be a great catch, but just the decisiveness and the perfect timing of this, that's exactly when I want my fade balls thrown. Some guys like to wait, and then bomb it up. But the DB has a chance at that point to turn his eyes and make a play on the ball. If you throw a fade route at the top of your 3-step drop, it's tough for the DB to get his head around and still keep track of the receiver. I think this is a beautifully designed play. The structure is brilliant to me. It's not complex, but it's brilliant, and it's just very strong structure. And then I think just the fundamentals of Lawrence here and the decision-making by Lawrence here is just also great. It's elite. It's textbook is what it is. And that's just a great catch here by Brian Thomas, I believe it is. You're just seeing a QB play with a lot of confidence here in the scheme and system. So here's Trevor Lawrence, and this is something that we weren't seeing from Trevor Lawrence in his previous years, or at least not very consistently. So we're going to have Trev on the goal line here, basically. Trevor Lawrence is going to boot to the right. We're going to have a lot of flooding to the right side. But instead what Lawrence does, he takes a snap, boots to the right. He goes through his progressions, 1, 2, 3. We don't like it. And with a naked rusher just in his face, he just stops on a dime and delivers a beautiful ball, honestly. Again, a ball that I think should be caught if the rain isn't absolutely disgusting. Like, how often do you see receivers actually shuck their gloves in the rain? Like, that's how bad it was. I think to have a pressure in your face like that, reset your frame, reset your platform, and throw, honestly, a dime here. It's impressive. It's a great play for Lawrence to make and give his guy a chance to bring in a touchdown. I think most coaches would say you don't see the 3 read on the flood side on the boot, just throw it away. Nah, Trevor Lawrence goes back to his 4th read, which is very tough to do with a rusher in your face like that, knowing you have a unmanned blitzer, and throw that pass. It's impressive. I love to see it. Like, this is
a big issue for him on these plays in the red zone. In the past, has been he'll continue to boot, but he'll stare down this side and then he'll throw late picks. In the end zone. So it's really nice to see this narrative kind of change with him coming to the backside, and then if that was an open, he's probably just going to eat it here, right? So that's very, very nice to see. Yeah,
like, we're just seeing him develop in front of our eyes into the QB we thought he was going to be out of college. All right, so here we're going to see a Haas play, very made popular by the Patriots with their Haas juke. It's basically the same play, so Haas is just hitches on the outside and then seams on the inside, and the juke is going to come from the running back. He's just going to release up the middle, see what the leverage is like, see where their space is, and pick a side and kind of go to it. But what we're going to see with Lawrence here is, again, using his footwork as a timeline and reading post-snap perfectly. We're going to see the top safety there, who's at the 15-yard line, the strong safety, rotate down. We're going to see the free safety, who's probably pre-snap, taking away the seam from the number 2 receiver on Lawrence's left. Like, I wouldn't want to throw that seam pre-snap. I would probably write that off, honestly. but he's going to end up rotating to the right to cover where the strong safety is going to rotate down. Lawrence is going to see that post snap, take a 3-step drop, and just throw the ball about 15 yards on a rope, exactly where his receiver is the only one who can make the catch, and he makes a great play. If we run it here, safeties kind of rotate. He finds the soft spot in that zone, throws it on a rope in poor weather. Good catch by the receiver. He kind of settles down there as well, slows it down a little bit. That's how I also like to throw my seams. You'll see a lot of guys coach seams like it has to be this, what we call a 3-ball, like air under it, chase it down, make a play. That's just exactly how I would coach my seams. Try to get outside release, and if you can't get it, I don't think he actually gets outside release here, but get back on your tracks to kind of an outside, more stem. Not throwing it to be like this huge, deep play, big ball, but throw it on a rope where the soft zone is, where the hole in the zone is. It's just, it's textbook. It's beautiful, and I love it.
Yeah,
you're very lucky.
Right where you want to go. Right where you want to go against one high, because he's rotating to the middle. He does a good job staying square in his pedal and weaving rather than opening up to get there.
Yeah.
But still, like, he's out leveraged and he's not going to get there in time, right? So that's your weakness against cover 3. The hitch kind of holds the bail corner here, and yep. Perfect.
It's perfect. It's perfect. And the last one we got here, talking again, great scheme. So if we're going to look at the top of the formation, we're going to have a tight end. He's on the line, but off of the line of scrimmage, right? Kind of in a slot receiver type role. He's going to run a post. Now, what that post is going to do is take the corner, who's probably at the 6-7-ish yard line. And we're going to see Jacoby Myers at the receiver at the top off the line. He's going to run a little bit of a stutter and get stuck on a linebacker and then run a fade over top. And that's exactly the kind of matchup you want with Jacoby Myers on a linebacker. I think the corner does what he was taught to do. He's going to take the first deep man, which is the tight end, and the linebackers just get stuck on Jacoby Myers running this beautiful stutter fade. Great patience by Lawrence. Throws it before he's even out of his break because he just knows that Myers is going to be open. That's exactly how the play is drawn up and what you want. So I love the scheme here from Liam Cohen. I love the throw here by Lawrence, just right over the linebacker's head. This is just a perfect marriage of a QB playing with confidence, understanding the system, and it being just a dang good system. And even if that's not there, you have the running back running kind of a Texas route. You got the middle of the field wide open as well. So there's just answers built into the play in case things go south. And you love to see it as an offensive mind.
This is very bad by the corner at the top of the screen, but
I think that's his.
It kind of messes with the rules, though, right? Because, yeah, like you said, it doesn't look like Myers is going vertical, but you still have to run with your eyes on 2 there.
Yeah.
Because it looks like they're playing a version of 3, and you have a post safety. But, yeah, it's really good design by them.
Exactly.
And great timing by Trev. It's good.
So I love what the Jaguars are doing offensively. I might be a secret fan of theirs after watching this film just because I love the way Lawrence is playing. I love Liam Cohen's scheme. I love what he was doing with Baker Mayfield as well. It's fun to watch, and I'm very happy for you guys that you finally get to watch fun, exciting football.
Yeah, 2 playoff appearances since I've been a fan. Started becoming a fan in, I think, 2009. So it's been nice.
We don't need to bring up years, buddy.
Yeah, it's been tough. Anyway, Dave, great job. We'll end it on breaking the narrative. And for breaking the narrative this week, Dave, I just want to quickly talk about, I think NFL front offices need to stop recycling head coaches that are average, and they need to start bringing in new talent. And I think we've seen this year with the teams that have kind of brought in a young savant head coach, they're getting a lot of success. Liam Cohen, Ben Johnson, Mike Vrabel doesn't really count, but uh,
But that's the
he is on the young.
yeah, that's the current meta, right? Find the hot, young, tight pants offensive mind, and then keep him for 4 years, and it either works out or it doesn't work out. And if it
Yeah.
doesn't work out, great.
Well, I feel like from when McVay first got hired and exploded on the scene to about like 2019ish, 2020, definitely the thing. But then they kind of seem to have gotten away from it a lot. Like Bill Callahan getting hired, for instance, by the Titans. Like there's a lot of hires that you go, why? Like it's so lateral. Like what's the point? Um, so I would like them to try to get back to that. Um, I think if you're a team that has a lot of talent and is competitive, maybe that's the right move rather than taking a chance. But if you're a young team that's not going to be any good, give a young coach a chance that has different ideas. And that doesn't need to be as a head coach necessarily, as an OC, as a DC, right? Like give a guy a chance that knows what he's doing because you know what you're getting with those kind of middling guys. You're going to get a coach that doesn't mess things up, but he's not going to elevate the team. The ceiling is so much higher with an unknown, right? Take more chances rather than being average.
I think part of it is that there isn't that many exciting young names right now. I think they all kind of got bought up and used up, and we're seeing those kind of head coaches like the Shanahans, the McVays, yada yada, and the Ben Johnsons. They've kind of all been hired, and they take on the offensive coordinator role. So I think we're going to need to wait a few more years as their underlings, their proteges, start to develop. But we look at, I've been perusing through the interview cycle for these head coaches, and you're right. Like it's Vance Joseph, Robert Saleh, Matt Nagy, Raheem Morris is getting interviewed. Matt Nagy. I know. I put my head through a wall when I read that one. Thomas Brown too. I think the only younger, sexy offensive guy that's getting these interviews is Clint Kubiak, and I'm not sure he's quite ready for that jump quite yet. But I would agree. Let's make some splashes. Let's be exciting. At the very least, it's going to get people in your seats. Like how many tickets is if Eberflus got hired again? Is anyone re-upping their season tickets because you hired Matt Eberflus? No. It just doesn't inject any life into your franchise.
100% agreed. Well, guys, I hope this episode put you guys in seats to watch. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We're happy to be back here for a new year. We will be back next week again. We'll be back on schedule. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. We will see you next time. For David Hollinshead, I'm Nick Hauka. Thank you, guys.